Hi everyone, I'm Tamar Mehr from Trade with Precision and I'm looking at the futures market, and we have seen some massive swings during the election day yesterday. We started with the Asia session, massive selling, in comes the European session, a little bit of buying coming into the market, and then in the US session, sharp rise, and we've seen the market closed much higher. So what I want to do now is take a look at these markets, but actually start from the higher time frame, start from the monthly chart and then moving down into the weekly and the daily, looking at the trends, looking at the convergence, looking at where the market sits right now. And what we can spot quite clearly is that this market is in an uptrend. We've got a low, a high, higher low, and a higher high. Right now, I'm looking at the monthly chart of the Dow, and you can see here we're sitting almost at all-time high. So we had a massive drop yesterday into this strong level of support and resistance around the 17,500, rejected it completely and pushed the price higher to close very near the all-time high. So let's move into the weekly and let's see how the weekly looks like. And what we can spot here on the weekly is this is the level that we moved into. We can see a couple of touches here in the past. We also had the 1800 up above, and you can see we cleared it quite strongly, and now again sitting at the top of this range around the 18600. So this is a rather bullish move. We are still in an uptrend and there's still nice convergence here on the indicators. Although if we're going to break through this level, we already traveled quite a lot and we need to see some release of that buying pressure. So we could see some consolidation below that level. This could offer some resistance. So far we can see there is some divergence at this area. So as the market is making somewhat equal highs, these indicators are actually pushing lower. But this is also in reaction to that massive change in direction, massive swing that we've seen yesterday. Let's take a look here on the daily, and we can see that sharp move here on the daily coming up very high, very strong at this level, very sharp move. There is no clear direction to this market from the daily, but taking it from the monthly, we're basically pushing up into a level and looking rather bullish. But because we had such a sharp move, I would expect some sort of consolidation, perhaps another touch at that level before a break of that level. But from the monthly, we are looking a bit more bullish. From the daily, not much of a direction. Looking for consolidation and reaction to that level. Another rather strong market is the Nasdaq. And looking here at the Nasdaq, I want to change it into the monthly chart, and we can see here on the monthly we've got bullish rejection candle. We pull back into this 46 level. We're going to see this on the weekly, quite a nice level on this market, completely rejecting it and pushing higher. Again, the Nasdaq also coming close into its all-time high, and I do expect that level to offer some resistance. In this case, between this high and this high over here, we actually have quite an obvious divergence. So you can see there's actually three-leg divergence from the previous high. We made a slight higher high. We pull back quite significantly before pushing higher, but the indicators keep on making lower highs. This could indicate weakening of the current trend, the current momentum, but we're also coming up into a level, a bit of consolidation around that level is also an option to play out this divergence. So let's take a look at the weekly chart. So first of all, we can see that nice level around the 4600, the market pulling back into it and pushing higher. Not much of a trend at the moment. We broke it, we made a lower low, and now we're pushing higher. We can also spot this level around the 4850 on the Nasdaq being a level of support and resistance, and we're just nudging into that area. Let's take a look at the S&P. Now, similar to the Dow, but not quite. What we've got here on the S&P is that actually we made a lower low and then we burst into a higher high. So technically, we don't have a trend here on the monthly chart, but looking rather bullish. Again, we found some support at this 2050. We smashed through this 2100, quite a nice and strong level on this market. We spent a lot of time bouncing into that level before finally breaking it, pulling back, testing it, and now rejecting it again, and looking quite strong for the continuation onward. Again, we do have the all-time highs ahead of us. We're not as close to it as we were with the Dow. There's a couple few more points to go, but from the monthly chart we're looking rather bullish, strong bullish rejection candle at the moment. Let's take a look at the weekly, and again we can see that rejection of the 2100 level, very strong level on this market. We found that support at 2050 and basically shot up all the way higher, and currently we can see that the bigger picture here is to the upside. We've got a low high, higher low, higher high, and looking for another test of this all-time high and another higher high. We do have in this case nice convergence on the indicators on this previous high, so there is a case for bullishness in the market. As long as we'll be able to break through those levels, we might see again consolidation below those levels. We might see a test and a fall around that level, but the reaction of the market after that selling was rather bullish. We actually moved higher, so closed higher than what we've opened the day before. Another market that I want to take a look at, and it's a bit different, is the gold. So let's have a look at gold. And gold is considered safe haven in times of uncertainty. So at the beginning of the trading day, so let's take a look here at the daily, we've actually seen the market pushing higher. We're actually seeing the market going stronger, passing through the 1300, quite strong level of support and resistance, and continuing onward. And then what the market has done is basically rejected that move and starts to fall from it. So currently we are below that level of 1300. What it also means from a technical point of view is that we are continuing the downtrend. We've got a high, low, lower high, quite a sharp lower low, and then pulling back into the area of the 1300 strong level. You can see those touches in the past, finding resistance and then falling from it, making this area the next lower high at the moment. So let's take a look here on the weekly, and from the weekly what we can spot is what we have here is a bearish rejection candle at the moment, coming up, testing that level and completely rejecting it. So we're continuing that downtrend, and also we are converging to the downside. You can see that 1250 is a nice level on this market and the next level of support and resistance. Looking at the monthly, however, what we can spot from the monthly is that if this area around here, the 1250, would hold, then this could turn up to be the next higher low in the market. So I'm watching this area quite closely. If this level, the 1250, is taken, it would look a lot more bearish from the lower time frame into the weekly. However, if we'll manage to reverse and break above 1300 again, then this market would look more bullish. Happy trading, everyone, and I'll speak to you soon.